This is a Fox News alert. We are live in Milwaukee, where former President Trump is this morning as the Republican National Convention kicks off today.
The country's still reeling from the assassination attempt in Pennsylvania, which nearly killed the former president.
On the way to Wisconsin yesterday, Donald Trump told the New York Post, quote, "The doctor at the hospital, after he was shot, said he'd never seen anything like that. He called it a miracle." The former president said, "I'm not supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be dead." Many people are saying it's by God that I'm still here.
Take a look at what happened.
That play out there. This photo of the former president that we're also going to show you was snapped just seconds after he was shot there. You saw it happen on your screen, the bullet grazing his ear. That was fired by an AR-style weapon. That photo now a reminder of an attempted assassination in Butler, Pennsylvania, as Trump raised his fist in the air and yelled out, "Fight." You can see that blood on his ear and his face. Take a look at what Trump is saying now about that photo to the New York Post. I mean, it's been seen everywhere. A lot of people saying it's the most iconic photo they've ever seen, Trump telling the Post. They're right, and I didn't die. Usually you have to die to have an iconic picture. I just wanted to keep speaking, but I just got shot. Protest organizers are still planning on marching Monday at the Republican National Convention here in Milwaukee. You can see some of the crowds here. Nothing too major, no major issues. The Milwaukee Police Department, though, says they'll be on high alert. This is what the chair of the coalition had to say. Listen.
I think Trump breeds a lot of hate, and I think the shooting has nothing to do with us. And we're going to continue with the march as we planned.
So the marches will happen here in Milwaukee. The former president is now here in Wisconsin. We'll have to see what he has to say in person, you know, as this all continues to play out. I think a lot of people are still in shock here, wondering how this is going to impact the election and former President Trump as he moves forward here. Back to you.
Hey, Alexis, I'm wondering, from someone there, one of the biggest surprises in retrospect that President Trump pointed out is that in the shooting, nobody stampeded, nobody left. Well, did that strike you at the time, that you said, okay, there's shooting, and no one seemed to panic? That's my perception, but I'm on the outside.
Yeah.
You were there.
Yeah, I think because it happened, you know, so quickly, and at first it was with those pops, it sounded almost like, you know, fireworks. And then because the Secret Service and those police moved in so quickly and got everything under control and were giving pretty loud verbal commands, people just kind of hit the ground. And then there was that fire where they were firing at that gunman who was just about a football field away from where the former president was, outside of that security barrier, but he was up on that rooftop. So when they were firing back, I think people were trying to stay as low as they could, so they knew if they would have stood up, who knows how many other people possibly would have been wounded. And they also saw that poor man who now lost his life, you know, sitting up in the stands, and they saw him sitting next to his family, and a gruesome scene. So I think people wanted to stay and wait for the police.
That's right. And the former president has led a GoFundMe to try to get some money to those families. And I think we'll have a total
About $3 million.
Yeah, it's a gigantic number. Alexis, your coverage the other night was absolutely riveting. We heard so much that night about, you know, apparently there were a bunch of people saying there's a guy up on that roof with the gun. Now it sounds like the Secret Service is saying we weren't responsible for anything outside the perimeter. And it sounds like the guy showed up with a rifle. Now that, you know, people are putting the stories together, showed up with a rifle. They noticed him at the security thing, and then they started to alert everybody. Hey, keep an eye on him. Next thing you know, he climbs up, and as soon as a cop came up and said, "What are you doing?" and he pointed the gun at him, turned around and just started shooting, bang, 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 right then. So it was all within a matter of seconds.
We were told by the Pennsylvania State Police at that briefing they had the other night, I was asking, you know, how long was he up there for? And they said he was up there for a very short amount of time. So it wasn't like he, according to those investigators, really, you know, was up there ahead of time, left a weapon up there. He according to these sources, just climbed up that ladder, was up there for a matter of seconds before he fired off those shots. But something important to point out when we're talking about, this security perimeter and him being able to kind of get to and from there so easily, this area where that all was is so close to, the stage. That's where the motorcade also came in, where that building was, this glass building where he was hiding out. He also, according to some neighbors, they believe parked his van that now had these explosives in it just a block away. So he parks, walks up with a gun, and is able to walk through these buildings and then get up onto the rooftop. So people have a lot of questions because those thousands of people, including us, that were walking into the rally, you got wanded, you got your bags checked. So people want to know, well, why wasn't somebody able to be checked when they were just outside the perimeter? It was barely outside of the perimeter.
All right, Alexis, thank you so much. Yeah, to watch these images over and over and over, it's still dramatic. It's still very emotional for all of America to see, because if he had not turned his head just a little bit, we would be telling a different story today. And when he had that interview on his plane with the New York Post, he talked a lot about the bruises that he had on his body because he was tackled by this Secret Service.
The
his
linebackers.
detail. He called them the linebackers. He talked about why he lost his shoes, and he said that they hit him so hard his shoes fell off. He was so indebted to the Secret Service. He was thanking them profusely. And he said, I wanted to keep speaking, but I got shot. And he did have a loose, large white bandage over his right ear. And the reporter said it tore off a small piece of his ear.
So you got James Copenhaver, 74 years old, Mount Township. He was wounded, and he's in critical condition. We understand David Dutch, 57, of New Kensington, Pennsylvania, and the person who lost his life, covering his family, Corey Coppertor, 50 years old, from Saw, Pennsylvania, and one of which was in the medical tent with the former president. So that's why I imagine he put that on Truth Social immediately, because he knows that people pay the price for supporting him, and that must be tough to live with.
We'll have to get the image of the firefighter who lost his life. Corey's fire uniform was hanging up on a hook outside.
Buffalo.
He was a local official. And after he was shot, the former president told the New York Post that he wanted to just continue the speech, but the Secret Service said, Mr. President, we've got to go. We don't know if there's somebody else on some other
like Teddy
building.
Roosevelt did here in Milwaukee when he was shot. He continued his speech.
Think about that, 1912.
The symmetry.
Following the president's interview Monday evening, both the DNC and the campaign will continue drawing the contrast between our positive vision for the future and Trump and Republicans' backwards-looking agenda over the course of the week. Based on President Biden's own words last night, we would expect this restarted campaign to stop using words about Trump like threat and focus more on issues they think are winners for them, like abortion access, but we will see. And in addition to President Biden's rare phone call to Donald Trump, NBC is reporting an even rarer conversation following Melania Trump's emotional tribute to her husband, Dr. Jill Biden, reportedly phoned her. We have asked White House officials for some more details about that call. Back to you.
Yeah, Peter, I thought that letter, Melania Trump's letter, is one of the most moving things I've read. And I thought when she said, you think my husband's a political animal, but he's a father, and he's a grandfather, and he also said my life and Barron's life especially would have been changed forever.
Said her family came to the brink of a devastating change.
We will follow them to the gates of hell until they are brought to justice. Because hell is where they will reside. Hell is where they will reside.
Check out TrumpRap.com. It's pretty calm for original rap songs that drop like a bomb. Featuring AI Trump as DJ T. Hard-hitting lyrics, that's the key. Pressing issues, we address them all. Politics and music, we stand tall. Through rap we speak. Critique so sleek, dynamic beats, unique and chic. Join the movement, feel the vibe. TrumpRap.com, where truth and rhythm collide.
I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard